Louis XIV is one of the most powerful rulers in French history. He believed he and the state were one and the same. He devoted himself to helping France achieve economic, political, and cultural brilliance. His palace at Versailles was proof of his economic prowess. Only a ruler with total control over his country's economy could afford such a magnificent building. His gardens were very beautiful, a great example of the age of reason. Inside the palace was just as beautiful as well. But from the outside, still brings people to this day. The palace at Versailles is a great tourist attraction. But the most beautiful part of the entire palace is probably the Hall of Mirrors. Notice the fresco paintings on the ceiling. King Louis required that nobles of a certain rank and position spend time each year at Versailles. This prevented them from developing their own regional power and kept them from countering his efforts to centralize the French government, where he could rule as an absolute monarch. Originally, Versailles was built with 5,000 acres of gardens, lawns, and woods, and 1,400 fountains. It took so much water and cost so much money to run all the fountains at once that it was done only for special events. Sometimes when the king walked into the gardens, the servants would turn on the fountains just before he got there. When he'd leave, they'd turn them off. So what was it that made Louis so great? In other words, why do we care? I'll tell you why. He abused his power so much that it led to a revolution that would inspire a call for democratic government not only in France, but throughout the entire world. So that's it? All he did was abuse his power, you might say? No, he did a lot more than that. Even though France was already the most powerful country in the world, in an effort to make France even greater, he fought war after war after war. So, what do you think you get when you mix a lavish lifestyle with war and high taxes to pay for the war? You get in debt. This chart shows France's debt from the beginning of King Louis's reign in 1643 until the end of his reign in 1715. And when a country's in debt, it makes for a lot of angry people. And when people become angry, they start to revolt. Now, it's important to note that the French Revolution didn't happen as a direct result of Louis XIV's reign, but it sure did help to set the stage. So let's take a look at what France was as a result of Louis's reign. Let's first start with the positive. France did become a world power. They ranked above all other European nations in art, literature, and statesmanship. France was also considered the military leader of Europe. And France developed an empire of colonies, which could offer them income through trade and resources. Negatively, Louis did have constant warfare and put France in a staggering debt. And the burden that came with that debt and Louis's abuse of power would plague his heirs and eventually lead to revolution.